Yo guys, and welcome to a casted game, the very first one of the new patch. It's the new patch with a number of bug fixes. We're watching a Holy Roman Empire game here against the Chinese. Recon, roughly rank 22 or so. He's against a rank 120 player in Squiz Urk. We see Recon playing Holy Roman Empire here on King of the Hill. King of the Hill is a map that marks itself by scarce resources and sometimes very awkwardly positioned. With some natural barriers protecting the access to your base, King of the Hill is a relatively small map with a sacred site in the center, just one, and relatively limited wood lines. There's always a pitiful little shrub of trees next to your main base, and for the rest you're gonna have to venture further into danger. This is the new patch that just launched on January 19th. And we're gonna be watching this replay from Holy Roman's perspective only. Both Chinese and Holy Roman have received a few changes, but for Chinese it mostly affects their third and a half age, Yuan Dynasty, Castle Age. Fire Lancers have been nerfed, and this is mostly targeted at team games, as they weren't as much of an issue in one-on-one, though they were pretty good there too. We can see that Recon has opened up with a prelate and has gone for a double scout opening to get his fair share of the scouts, or more, of the sheep. Every one-on-one map spawns with 24 sheep all over the map. And if you can get more than 12, then you've got a little leg up in securing food supply for later on. Holy Roman has a pretty good matchup into Chinese, as Chinese typically tends to boom, which is a term for economic growth focus, with less units and more of a villager expansionist mindset. Well, Holy Roman is quite happy with that because they tend to want to go to Castle Age quickly, and then they can secure those relics that secures them a never-ending source of gold. And this makes up for much villager deficit. Hightailing it to Castle Age and getting Reknitz Cathedral, the Third Age landmark, full of relics is a winning condition for Holy Roman Empire. And if they can top it off with the cherry on top, the Palace of Swabia, well, that's the Holy Trinity of landmarks, Aachen Chapel and those two. And Holy Roman is one of the strongest late game civilizations. As such, it would be wise for Urk to depart from the standard expectation of just economically booming. While the Chinese civilization is good at this, and typically does so, it is worth deviating from your game plan, not just for them, but in general, when you think that there's a premeditated strategy the opponent is looking to do. You're expecting it, you see it coming, you scout it, you confirm it, and then you would definitely want to act in order to secure a counter plan. Recon has gone with an Aachen Chapel opening, and he has decided his first wood line to be the place of focus. I'm personally opined that these days Minework Palace can be the better choice, though I don't know that I would go Minework Palace against Chinese per se. Chinese typically opens with a second town center and tries to do a lot of walling and kind of turtle off. But knowing that Urk is against Holy Roman Empire, he might actually choose to go for a more aggressive build. Either one town center Sang Dynasty in order to make Chuganu, the repeater crossbow unit that tends to do quite well against everything in Feudal except knights, or he might go for a more standard horseman attack. A little bit of disruption, a distraction of focus, slowing down the timings of Recon's build order. We're going to wait and see, but as usual, we're watching this only from a singular perspective, Recon's, in order to recreate the feeling, the nitty-gritty, the knife in an alley fight kind of feeling. We don't know what he knows, except that which we see ourselves from his point of view. Many sheep have been collected. I'm going to press Ctrl-Shift-A and I see, yeah, 2 carcasses, and those were not his first. And he's got 12 more herdable sheep. It's safe to say that Recon has got something like 70% of the sheep off the map. Not only that, he has also gotten really good scouting information about where the relics are. They are very well positioned for him. If you look at the minimap, the little yellow tower, all 4 are surrounded all around his base, and just 1 relic is near the Chinese player. Now, what has he seen? Not all that much, and yet he has decided to go with a very heavy, lumber-focused, wood-focused build. Rather than going with the expectation of just trying to make a fast castle kind of like playing a racing game where there's no collision. You're just measuring each other's times, and if my time beats your time, then I win. No, there is collision here, and Recon is expecting a rather large frontal confrontation and collision with some kind of expeditionary force of Orc. He doesn't know what it's going to be yet, but experience tells him it's going to be some kind of attack. So he's got his stables ready. He's able to make horsemen, and he sees some horsemen already from the Chinese player. 2 he counts, if he was paying attention. He can start to make his own as well. And in comes a barracks as well. Rarely seen in Feudal Age from Holy Roman before, but because of the bug fixes, where spears can now use the spear wall ability, something that I'm sure they would have loved to fix a little bit earlier, but the devs had the holiday and people were like, no spears for Holy Roman. Now Holy Roman can. And I'll tell you what, I've been enjoying a lot today using them. So the spears can be defensively used against horsemen, and also maybe play into the expectation of professional scout technology. Now, Recon himself has decided not to go with that technology. As we take a look at the income per minute, we can see that he's heavily going into wood, and food is roughly equal. So he's not going for pro scouts. But what we can see is that Urk has played a similar style, I guess, as something that I faced before, from 3DB. 3DB is a very skilled RTS Russian player who's been spamming Age of Empires 4 hard as well. And I had a Holy Roman game against him on French Pass, and he made a lot of horsemen as Chinese into my Holy Roman. And it was really disruptive. He killed some villagers, cost me mining time, and it was very much in this vein, with horsemen harass here and there. It's nice to see that Recon is ready for that, and has got several units in various places. It doesn't take a lot of spears to dissuade horsemen from trying to make kills on villagers, because the spear wall ability is gonna root those suckers in place and do a lot of damage to them. And the horsemen, without an attack upgrade, need exactly 6 hits to do enough damage to kill a villager. If you get 1 attack upgrade, their attack goes from 9 to 10. 50 divided by 10 is 5. If there's no healing, which generally there isn't, then horsemen only need 5 hits. So spears can stun horses with the spear wall. So this attack has been nipped in the bud. More horsemen are coming out. We can see that Orc is generating a little bit of gold. It might be from tax collection, or from the looks of it, about 2 villagers on gold. Of course, this is information that we shouldn't be having, but we have a small little concession to have an all-seeing eye on income for our interest, without actually looking to see what is revealed on the map right now for our Chinese player. So what's the plan here for Recon? If we take a look at the all-army hotkey, 5 spears and 4 horsemen, he's still got 2 scouts. They are here in the middle, and there's one here killing wolves. He's starting a wall, a palisade wall with a gate, in order to be able to be the only one that can access that area. And he is still making more horsemen, ever more. Horsemen and spears. A palisade wall here will shut down further expeditions from that side. And we can see archers coming. We can also take a look at the landmark tracker. This is information that's available in a different display for players in the game. But we can see that 2 landmarks means that archers is the only thing that will be forthcoming. There shall be no Chuganu coming, because he hasn't reached Song Dynasty, so he doesn't have access to this special dynastic unit. We can see the Imperial official is currently supervising the archery range, which means it can function at the speed of 3 ranges for the cost of 1. And the official's attention. If there's one thing we learned from watching Recon last time, is that he takes feudal aggression fairly seriously. He's kept making units, very much like you would in a game of StarCraft, as Protoss, or Terran or Zerg really, especially Terran and Protoss. If you don't keep making units, you're not making use of your production's capabilities. But that's not as usual in Age of Empires 4. You're not always necessarily continuing to make units. But in this case he does. He feels with his spider senses that aggression will be forthcoming and continuous. So he's got to ramp up his numbers. Now here's another change from the patch. Horsemen have a baseline of range 2 armor in every age except Dark Age. And only Mongols can make Dark Age horsemen. So basically, essentially, for all intents and purposes, it's like horsemen have 1 extra range armor always. Little asterisks. That makes them so much better into archers. These archers are not upgraded with attack. So they're only doing 3 damage now into horsemen, down from 4. And that's a massive drop. That makes the horsemen counter archers so much harder than before. And might put an end to the massive archer ball meta that we see in many matchups. Simply because horsemen weren't cutting it. A great targeted buff by the developers that is very much in vein with what most people were asking for. I'm even thinking of changing my little pet name for horseman, Worseman, haha, into Better Man. This has been living a little bit in the Twitch chat already as well, so maybe we call them Better Man. Blacksmith is here to get an additional upgrade for range, and that means the horseman will have 3 ranged armor, absolutely dumpstering archers in any direct confrontation. Okay, we can see that there has been no quick rush to Castle Age. Recon had a heavy lumber emphasized build, and he has used part of that to go for farms in the vicinity of the Aachen Chapel, getting that inspirational bonus for faster gathering. We can take a look at the total units. He has 10 horsemen. Here's his production tree, more. He's going up to 12 horsemen. With that ranged armor upgrade, maybe even gonna get that melee attack to get fewer shots on villagers, but maybe that's not his concern. These are mostly for defense and relic control. And we can see Recon slowly ramping up to the ability to go for Castle Age. Urk himself is also ramping up his food income. He's got lots of farms. His attack was thoroughly thwarted by Recon, and Recon has brought out a prelate to start healing his horsemen. That's the second prelate. And he might as well, right? Because upon reaching castle, you want to pick up the relics immediately. There's even a small argument to be made that you would delay intentionally your castle age. Say, for instance, you're at 99% finishing Rechnitz, but your prelates haven't arrived on location yet to get these little relics. The moment you finish the castle age, your opponent will be wiser to the fact that you're going to be picking up relics. They may reactively send expeditionary forces to stop prelates from getting relics, if they weren't already ready premeditatedly. So you might even put it at 99%, get in position, and then finish it. Though of course, that's a stray thought, a potential for the future. Perhaps much better to just be there already. So we look where all the prelates are. Not quite getting in position yet. And the 7-man on the landmark will have it finished very soon. So he needs to go get in position sometime soon. But he's got nice scouts to know, hey, am I being thwarted? Am I being attacked? And he knows everything. And that's why they call him Recon. Clock Tower is coming along as well by the Chinese player. And of course, you wonder, what army composition is it going to be? Bonus points to actually get in there and know what's going to happen. He wants to get in there, and he sees the construction of a barracks. As a new player, it can be very intimidating to know what you're seeing when you're actually getting scouting info. And sometimes you may see something, you may then draw a conclusion, but they were just bad. They made a barracks, they didn't use it. Far safer, though, to assume that what you see is the truth. Don't overthink it. If you see a barracks being made now upon the player reaching the palace, the castle age, the simplest solution, the most logical explanation, is that they're planning to make either spearmen or palace guards. And spearmen are a counter unit. They might have their place into horsemen that we see here, but palace guards are more of a generalist unit. They've got counters, but none are as hard as how spearmen sometimes get countered. And Palace Guard's Nest of Bees is a classical tactic that sees a lot of play. So that would be where my money is on right now, in terms of a bet. Horsemen going in with that 3 ranged armor makes them a lot more survivable into these outposts and actually effective raiding units. Castle Age has been reached, but he's not yet making any blacksmith improvements. But many relics have been retrieved. One here, and that's it. Only 2. I thought he was going to go more heavily. But perhaps it's the proximity of the relics, how fortune smiles upon him, that he has decided that 2 prelates will do the job that 4 could do in just a bit more time, just a bit less time. And now our suspicion has been cemented as reality. Palace guards have come out, and they're chasing the horsemen away. And they're fast suckers. 3 landmarks still means no Yuan dynasty, that can make them even faster. The prelates are now on a return trip to get another set of relics. Now, relics generate 300 gold per minute each in direct nits, which is an amazing amount of gold. 300 gold is equivalent to 7.5 villagers infinitely gathering gold from a node without economy upgrades. But there's only space for 3 relics. A 4th one can be placed in other places. A dock, an outpost, or a keep. Placing him in those gives them a standard civilization advantage, 100 gold per minute. And it gives a host of really cool improvements to that building. Ignoring the dock for the moment, as we are on land, it gives range, sight range, attack damage, and armor. So, if I were him, the 4th relic, if he can still get it, and I'm not sure about that, fairly skeptical, he could put it in this outpost. Could be quite cute. Meanwhile, we look at the army. 12 horsemen, 5 spears, 8 men-at-arms, 3 knights, and as we look at the upgrades, we can see heavy maces coming in, no two-handed weapons yet. But this is a nice, large army, and he's going to thoroughly crush this army of the Chinese player. The Chinese player was trying to do many different things at once. He's got a gold amount of 1200, stone of 600, wood of 800, and food of 400. So you can say that he didn't lift as much as he could in the gym. He didn't ruin the all-you-can-eat buffet. He didn't get the most peanut butter out of the bottom of the jar. There was more money on the table here, and this was not a fully focused attack. However, he was desperate. Knowing that Holy Roman was coming into their triple relic in the Castle Age, he knew time was running out, and he threw whatever he had at the Holy Roman Empire, but it ineffectually slid off of him. GG. Another proof, another sign that Recon is not gonna make light of feudal age aggression, and is not afraid to make lots of units, especially now that the horsemen are better. GG.